All right. Let's get started today, guys. Hopefully, we should see the stream kicking in here in a second. It looks like it is. As you can see, we've got the Fear and Greed Index sitting at 51 this morning. Very interesting. Very interesting that we're down at these levels. I love it. We've got a lot going on today. We've got oil plummeting down under $67 right now, down 2.5% on the day. I think some of that has to deal with recent appointments by Donald Trump. We also have Tesla, a new appointment that's going to be, again, another Donald Trump appointment. Sounds like it's a former Uber founder, executive that is pro FSD and looking to speed up the approval process for full self-driving. Market seems to like that. I think they're also starting to realize that the $7,500 tax credit being removed is actually bullish, like we talked about last week, because it accelerates, it basically speeds up and expedites sales into the end of this year, heading into the beginning of next year. So with people trying to get that credit. And then after that comes all the other great stuff that's happening in 2025, which is a huge laundry list. But not just that. Okay, so we do have a little bit of negativity coming from Michael Howell, the man I absolutely adore in regard to global liquidity, with his 90-plus metrics that help monitor it. He's worried about the dollar, and the dollar getting stronger and stronger, and that reducing growth. So that's something we definitely want to keep an eye on. We want to keep an eye on that Japanese yen carry trade too. I think the biggest concerns with that are probably heading into December, but maybe we can have problems before that. So we want to watch that. We do have a video that we're going to watch in a second with our man Tom Lee. Oh, that ain't Tom Lee. With our man Tom Lee that we're going to watch. That's not Tom Lee either, but he's on here. And so I watched his content from SS Insight. Again, I love it. Just talking about, his thoughts and the fact that he believes we're going to have a rally going up into Turkey Day and a little bit beyond maybe. So he believes there could be another 5 to 10% in the S&P, potentially 6,300. There's other people calling for 7,000 for a top. Essentially, I'd say markets are getting a lot more bullish. Other stuff that's very fascinating. Donald Trump, sounds like what he's doing right now is he's trying to push in recess appointments. There's a window to do this, but when you do that, theoretically, you can allow these people, there's some hoops to jump through, but you can allow them to be around for 2 years awaiting formal appointment while they're working in what Trump has defined as their new jobs. So if that holds to be true and there's not enough technical hurdles to have to worry about, we're going to see one of the fastest moves of federal government in a very long time. I also watched a video, I shared it yesterday. Yeah, Elon was at UFC, no doubt. And what a pathetic fight in Netflix streaming service with Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. Just really, really bad. Don't even want to talk about that. But yeah, it was awesome to see Elon and Donald hanging out at the UFC. It was awesome to see Elon putting on the thick glasses and pretending like he's Mark Cuban, trolling him. Just beautiful stuff. But so I shared this video yesterday, guys, from my boy Gally. We'll probably talk about that in a little bit too. He's an OG from back in the Tesla days, back 2016, 17. Some of you guys might not even know him. He was really big back then, talking pro Tesla, going on CNBC just as a young kid and talking about all the pros of Tesla and why it was going to be a huge company. He did a video with one of his friends just talking about kind of futurism as a whole and things that are going to be coming down the pipe. And I just thought it was incredibly enlightening. So I would definitely encourage you to watch that. I'll probably just pull it up here for a second. One good thing, though, even if there are hurdles for Donald Trump with recess appointments to try and lock people in for those 2 years, DOGE will not have that problem. So the Department of Government Efficiency will not have that. Does not need congressional approval. So that's going through no matter what. And Vivek Ramaswamy said, we're going to butcher government. And there are entire agencies that are going to go away. And I would hold him at his word, him and Elon Musk. That's definitely happening. In the crypto market world, got a lot going on today. We've got Solana actually hitting all new all-time highs, pumping over the weekend. If you look at the monthly chart here, heck, even just the weekly, Peanuts on top. Again, where Peanut died for our bags. Was that the one that somebody came up with? Beautiful. And again, just this is not a weak market right now in regard to crypto. I've been saying this for a while, but that's a pretty strong week. And even on the daily, again, there's things down. There's things down for sure. But again, I think it's looking really strong. I think markets are looking very risk on at the moment. So we'll continue to look at that. Let's hop over. Also, on top of all this, I talked about Tesla briefly, but I didn't say where it was at. Up almost 7% on the day. I think last week I said to jump in after we filled the gap, so I was a little premature. It was like right over here at the 327. So we're back above that, though. So again, I could be wrong for a day or two. That happens. I could be wrong for longer than that. Look at PayPal. But eventually I get it right. And I think we're doing pretty good. It's a good day, guys. I think a lot of great stuff is going to happen. Without further ado, and again, so much to go over today. We got the economic calendar. Nothing too crazy. It looks like we got some Canadian stuff. We got the Hong Kong unemployment rate at 3.1%. Again, complete fabrication and bullshit now that China has complete and utter control over Hong Kong. So nothing with truth to look at there. But we have housing starts out of Canada, foreign security purchases. Those might be interesting, probably the housing starts. And then in the U.S., we have NAHB Housing Market Index, net long-term tick flows. Those are kind of interesting, but those don't come until later in the day. Foreign bond investment, overall net capital flows. So from an economic calendar standpoint today, after 10 p.m. or 10 a.m., which I think is actually 9, because I think I still have this on the wrong time zone. That'll be all the economic data. So nothing too much today. And then a Tuesday again, we got a lot of inflation data and building permits and housing starts. And then Wednesday, guys, we have NVIDIA earnings. So that's going to be a fun time. I'll probably do my own show on that. I won't pretend to be an expert on NVIDIA in their earnings, but we're going to try and learn together and get better every time there is an earnings. So that's going to be the focus. All right. So without further ado, I will get caught up on comments here in a little bit. And Lim Jing Yun, thank you very much for joining and becoming a member. I really appreciate you. Let's hop over and listen to my man Tom Lee talk about his thoughts on Bitcoin and the markets heading into the end of the year. Here we go.
30% in November. Right now, I think it's 90 and 91 or so, 90 and change. Join us now, Tom.
I'm sorry, what? Did MicroStrategy buy more Bitcoin? Are you shitting me? I mean, I actually called that in a post. I might have to pull it up if that's true. I might have to call that in a post because I said MicroStrategy is going to buy some of this shit. And wouldn't surprise me if they did. Let's see here. 34 minutes ago. What does it say? All right, that doesn't tell me anything. Let's look. Michael Saylor is the real OG here. He will announce it on his page. 20 seconds ago. Yeah, dude. Totally called this. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people. He called this. You know why he called this? I'll show you. I'll show you in a second here. Oh, guys, Bitcoin's going to love this. Again, MicroStrategy is going to go first, guys. Don't fret. MicroStrategy is just acting as a multiplier, sucking up liquidity from every other investment on Earth, getting ready to pump our bags. It all rotates. Everything that comes in rotates. So don't fret about that. This is beautiful. Look at this right here. I think SailorTracker.com needs even more green dots. That's the message we got on November 17th yesterday. Isn't that great? I mean, how if this man isn't telegraphing what's coming next, he's very Elon Musk with like, guys, it's happening. And what did he do? They bought a shit ton more Bitcoin. 51,780 to be precise. Why is that interesting, guys? Because that's about 110 days of new supply. So this one guy with this one company just bought 1/3 of a fucking year of Bitcoin supply. 1/3 of a year. One company. And we have other companies. We have cities, states. We have countries. We have individuals buying this up in mass. Tax loss harvesting about to begin, but won't include BTC. Yeah, probably. Definitely some of that. But yeah, so this is pretty promising. Anyway, back to it. Let's get to our man. Tom Lee. Got a lot to go over today. Let's get to it.
Tom Lee, head of research at Fundstrat Global Advisors, as well as a CNBC contributor. We can get to...
Oh no, Mara's gonna dilute to buy Bitcoin? Oh no. Everybody should be so worried because we can't have Bitcoin miners diluting and buying Bitcoin or Bitcoin miners. Because you wouldn't want the Bitcoin miners to own Bitcoin or own miners. That would be fucking crazy, right? So we wouldn't want that. That's bad. Hey guys, Tom Lee's here on point today. This is going to be a good start to the week.
Bitcoin in a second. I want to talk just about the overall markets, Tom. And you think leading into Thanksgiving that slow sort of bleed, that slow bleed last week in the markets,
Having too many winners might be a really good thing too. When you don't have tax loss harvesting, you know what you do? You don't sell. You don't sell into the end of the year because you don't want to incur too much in the way of gains before tax season, right? So what do? You let it all go up. You let it all go up. So this just reiterates Tom's thoughts about the market going higher into year end.
expect that not to be lasting, and multiple factors make you feel good about the next couple of weeks. And one of them, which plays into what we've been talking about all morning, is the Treasury Secretary announcement. Will remove some uncertainty. You're following Polymarket to see who's in what. Bessent was at 70, but then Musk tweeted about Lutnick, and his chances went up. What is it now?
They've both fallen. They've both fallen to sub 40%. So it, part of it is Kevin Warsh has moved up and Mark Rowan has moved up.
We're using Polymarket to decide who's going to be the Treasury Secretary.
Stranger things have happened, right?
So you think we hear this week? And that'll remove uncertainty, or that's not the most important thing?
Well, I think as we remove uncertainty, so it may not be announced in the next week or so, I think that's like what I'd consider a clearing event. It takes away some uncertainty, and the Trump trade, I think, is still intact.
The Fed might not cut as quickly as possible, but you still said we're in a good place, dovish-wise.
That's right. Last week, markets were a little taken by surprise when Fed Chair Powell said he might, slow things down for December. But if you look at December 2025, a year from now, the number of implied cuts is still the same. So I think he's dovish. He's just moving some of the timing.
I do think Tom's hair is definitely turning into the Ancient Aliens guy, for sure. Like you could see it getting born.
The clearing event, NVIDIA.
He needs a sponsor, for sure.
Yeah, you expect it to be a bullish clearing event?
I mean, most likely, I think markets get very hesitant in front of NVIDIA's earnings.
Really?
And once that's behind us, we'll see demand is strong, and I think market breathes a sigh of relief.
And then we did get a little bit maybe bullish or over our skis, so we pulled back to a support level where you feel more comfortable.
That's right. I think most of the major indices have pulled back to what would be technically viewed by our technician Mark Newton as support. So the NASDAQ is on the support line. S&P.
Yeah, me too. Technically, it looks like a really good place to stop.
He did a 60%.
We've got a few other areas where we could find support, but this is great.
Retrace of its recent rally, and small caps have held above their prior highs. These are all bullish support levels.
I was wondering whether things were getting overdone when the journal says a melt-up could be in the cards. And the Trump trade has already been going for a while. You think it's just getting started at this point? There's a lot probably for the markets.
Yes, it is.
To like, I guess, in terms of, he likes easy money. He likes low regulation. He likes lower taxes.
It's pro-growth.
It's more than a 2-week rally, maybe.
That's right. And I think maybe markets are course correcting because now with DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, there may be cuts to healthcare and industrials because of defense spending. So things that investors can focus on more deregulation of animal spirits, more like small caps and financials.
Oh, yeah, the small caps.
What about healthcare? You mentioned.
We posted about small caps under the subscribers only on X over the weekend. I'm going to show you a couple of charts, too, that show that we're just most likely going to have a really strong rotation into them. They're very undervalued.
Mention that in particular. I mean, it's not just DOGE that's going to be looking for more ways of efficiency. It's also...
Real quickly, Ryan O'Malley asked a really good question. Jesse, thanks for all you do. What are the chances you think this cycle is different for BTC, which with companies and nations hodling, do you think the drawback will be minimized compared? Yes, it's minimal. I don't even know if I probably need to redo and recreate some charts because I don't even know if I have good ones for this anymore. But the drop in every cycle is lower and lower and lower than the previous. And I actually think that we're going to see a very shallow drop this time. And by very shallow, I mean maybe like 40%. I still believe we'll have one, but I think the depth of it will be lower. And I think the amount of time that it stays down will be lower. And I think that the upside potential heading into the next halving event will be so much larger because of everything that we're looking at right now. I mean, I said this in one of my posts over the weekend, but Michael Saylor is putting a floor on Bitcoin. The U.S. government, if they just think about this, guys, we've just got speculation that we're going to see strategic reserves in like almost 10 states in the United States. We've got speculation, strong speculation that we're going to see that in the United States too, at a national level. We're also seeing a bunch of companies adopt it. We're hearing other countries talk about doing the same thing. Imagine what happens, though, when some of these start firing off. Imagine what happens when we hear that, oh, hey, the U.S. just adopted their 1 million BTC 5-year plan of purchases. Imagine what happens when you start to see nation states fighting for Bitcoin. I think this is going to be, maybe not percentage-wise because you have economies of scale, but I think this will be one of the largest Bitcoin cycles in history. Just by like, if you just ignore stage of growth, because each cycle, again, you have less potential for returns percentage-wise. But if you ignore stages of growth and just look at Bitcoin and where it's at from an adoption standpoint and what's getting ready to come, this is going to be the biggest one in history. And I think the ramifications of that could be, I mean, again, if we explode too high too quickly, the depth can be really, really quick, but it doesn't have to last a long time. And I think that's one of the things that's going to be maybe different this cycle is we could front run the next cycle. People waiting for the halving on the next cycle are probably going to be too late. Okay. And honestly, we saw that already this cycle too. And a lot of the times, the depths of the market happen well before the halving, and the bull market happens well before the halving. I think this next time will just be accelerated. But anyway, let's get to my boy Tom Lee and listen here, guys. Very excited. 110 days of supply just got gobbled up by Michael Saylor, one guy from one company with an international store of value. One guy just bought 110 days of supply. I don't know what to say. We'll look at Bitcoin on exchanges too. The numbers are getting really, really low. This is rocket fuel, guys. I hope I can convey this in a way that you can understand. Don't worry about short-term price action. Don't listen to dipshits who are telling you, oh, CleanSpark's going down another 20%, guys. Don't buy it now. You're going to lose all your money. Shut the fuck up. Those people don't know what they're talking about. They're definitely not as good at this. And they're not focusing on the big picture. You always focus on the big picture. You always focus on fundamentals. I had somebody earlier who was asking me, oh, hey, Jesse, but doesn't it look like we've got another 1.5 to 2 years of Tesla going up a little bit and then rolling over and then going down to like $100 again 2 years from now? He's looking at it from the technicals. That makes no fucking sense. It's a stupid idea. And yet TA people all the time get stuck and like looking at a chart and thinking they and pasting a pattern into it and being like it needs to happen the exact same way. But he's overlooking the fact that the Model 3 ramp almost killed the fucking company with Tesla. It was very scary. There were people that were worried. Elon Musk was building cars in fucking tents. So there were some fundamentals that made the chart look that way. You can't just be like copy and paste. This same thing's going to happen again. That's not how it works. The technicals are the least important thing. If you don't believe me, look at Palantir. Look at that. What is it at $70 now? Again, from a technical standpoint with divergences and everything else, it should have rolled over a long time ago, but the fundamentals matter more. And so you always have to look at it that way. Always. Don't be an idiot and just look at a chart and be like, little pattern over here, and not to call this person an idiot that told me about this earlier. But it just don't put TA at the top of your weighting for how you judge markets. It's stupid to do that. Anyway, back to Tom Lee.
Changes afoot with RFK Jr. We're going to speak with Mark Bertolini about that in a minute, but how does the market kind of weigh that out?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough period for visibility for healthcare because, even recent comments about how much healthcare.
Yeah. Sorry, Tom. LW Crypto just said Russia opened up BTC mining in their country over the weekend for anyone who wants to do it. All these countries have to do this. You got to remember, Russia, China, they keep locking shit down all the time. But they have to open up because they have to be competitive in these markets. They have to be competitive in the new world reserve currency. China doesn't want to be holding silver when everybody's moving to gold, right? Like they did that once already. It caused mass starvation. I mean, that and the CCP was running things, which isn't helpful. Biggest amount of deaths on Earth. 50 to 60 million people died over Mao's term. But again, you don't want to do stupid shit. And so they can't. They have to adopt Bitcoin. They have to. Nobody has a choice. Nobody has a choice. We've already escape velocity way back here. Okay.
Care spending dominates advertising when you're not in the political cycle. And you're right. There's concerns about safety of certain vaccines and RFK
I
being
know
in charge of
Aramco.
HHS.
Yeah,
So
I know.
I would just say there's clouds. There's
So many
still
good
going to be
things.
opportunities probably in biotechs, but it's going to be challenging.
Part of what you think Elon's rationale for tweeting about Lutnick has to do with Bitcoin. So that leads us to what we introed you with was Bitcoin. And that might have been only that. Lutnick has reportedly at least tens of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin, maybe even more than that.
Yes. I think that's right. It does seem like Bitcoin is becoming more and more a hallmark of what this next administration is going to have. And it does solve some of the deficit concerns. You know, if Bitcoin becomes a reserve asset, and it may solve some of the what I'd consider inherent problems of the current financial system. You know, Bitcoin remains a very secure blockchain. So I think there's still a lot of potential for Bitcoin.
So where were we last time we were, or at least a recent time I asked you, still triple digits by the end of the year. I think we were around 70 or under 70. We're much closer now. So I don't want to ask you if you're raising your price target on Bitcoin, but it looks like triple digits is certainly a possibility. What is it? It's November.
Yeah, I think comfortably over 100,000 makes sense before the end of this year, and Bitcoin is trading pretty closely to how it should post-halving. So I think the next 12 months look pretty good for Bitcoin.
Do you ever, with the
Agreed.
S&P, worry about valuation? Or if you worry about valuation, you'll always be worried, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. I think if someone set a number and said 20 PE is the cap, and they faded the market every time, they would have left so many years of gains on the table. I think median PE at around 18 times isn't too demanding for the S&P yet. And the 10-year at 4.5 is still over a 20 PE for a 10-year bond. So I think the S&P isn't a valuation unrealistic story yet. And then, of course, small caps are much cheaper with a median PE closer to 12 times now. So I think if I was concerned about valuation, I would just look at smaller caps or mid caps.
So in the next 6 months to a year, what type of gains do you think would be reasonable for the S&P with the Trump trade intact?
Between, at least between now and year end, 5 to 10% still makes sense to us.
Between now and year end.
Yeah, so something over 6,000, like 6,300.
And then next year.
And then I think we'd build upon those gains early next year, because I think inflation is even softening, and there's room for more Fed cuts, and so that would be a dovish development. So, high 6,000s is possible too.
Wow. For a Monday, I'm feeling a lot happier. I don't like Mondays much, but you didn't say anything negative, did you? Is there anything I need to worry about?
Well, there of course is some
cholesterol or something.
Yeah, cholesterol and
Always.
food coloring.
Oh, right. McDonald's is safe again.
Yes.
High-test Coke. If RFK is drinking a bottle of high-test Coke, I might go back. No.
Fruit Loops? What about Fruit Loops?
I already like Fruit Loops.
Okay. All right. That's enough said right there. So I want to look here real quick. They have a race for Treasury Secretary. So they're talking a lot about appointments. Let's just see what else we have here. How will Trump reform healthcare? A lot. Let's just see what else they might have that's interesting. Former, who is that? William Dudley, former New York president. This I might want to hear, guys. This is him talking about interest rates and the 10-year bond. These are all conversations I want to hear about. So let's go back here and see what he has to say about all of this.
Well, Fed Chair Powell threw some cold water on chances for more near-term rate cuts last week. The 10-year yield continues
wish I could do this at 1.5.
to tick higher. Joining us now, Bill Dudley, former New York Fed president. We also...
You know what we need? We need an AI to, like, in real time, like, be back in the feed and have it know what I want for major topics and then be able to jump to them and then summarize and just show the highlights of what they're talking about. We need new tools, guys. We need tools that just create massive amounts of efficiency. Real quickly, but though, before we let him talk about, again, Fed Chair Powell, the 10-year, what's happening with rates, let's see what we have with comments here real quick. Victor Hernandez. Oh, I'm missing a bunch of stuff. Alex Garcia said, how is IWM small cap index correlated with miners? It's not really, but you're going to see something similar. I mean, they trade on different indices. Miners are all over the place. Some are in the S&P small cap, like I think Mara's on the S&P 600 small cap 600. CleanSpark, I think, is already on the NASDAQ. They trade on all these different indices, so you're not going to see anything like ETF flows pumping miners. But the whole point is people are going to be looking for lower caps that can give them a high amount of return that have an asymmetric bet to the upside. And Bitcoin miners, if I'm right, and we hit 150,000 by early spring or early to late spring, whatever, just by before summer of next year, which I think is going to happen, then we have went from 60,000s to 150,000, and Q4 and Q1 for Bitcoin miners is going to look fucking ridiculous compared to what we've seen recently. So that's my play on miners. Hope that makes sense. Let me know what questions you have. Mucho, Trump names Chris Wright, fossil fuel CEO and campaign donor, as energy secretary. He's also a member of the board of Oklo. I know you're not a fan. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know he was a member of the board. That's cool. Yeah, no, actually, I think that guy's going to be great. I think he was involved with shale, too. So, yeah, no, he's definitely, that's probably one of the reasons we're seeing oil down today by a large amount. Let's actually see what it's down real quickly. So 66.90, I've told you guys this thing's getting ready to roll over. I still think that is very likely. Look at how it's just stopped on the first like light green area of support. Remember this though. This is a descending triangle, right? This is an ugly pattern, right? This is an ugly pattern. It's almost like a head and shoulder, like a weird left shoulder, head, right, retarded right shoulder, breakdown too. If you actually look at it like this is probably a better way to look at it, honestly. This is a better way to look at it. Let's do this. We're already in the breakdown, right? We're already in the breakdown, guys. You know how we know that? Because we draw this pretty little line over here and look at what happened. We had this rising head and shoulders pattern, and then we broke down really hard. And you don't even want to know what the head and shoulders pattern, what the measured move of this is, because it's stupid. It's stupid. Let's just get a rough idea of what this is. So, yeah, down into the 40s. That makes sense, right? Let's actually get rid of this one. Let's get rid of that little baby right there. So down into the 40s, 30s. I think that's right. Doesn't that sound like, is this not what President Trump is talking about doing, guys? Is this not what he's literally speaking about? Dropping energy prices by 50%? Wouldn't this be what happens to oil? I mean, am I wrong here? Or am I looking at this the wrong way? This seems to be exactly what he's speaking about. And I think this is what's coming. Oh, here, let me do it in red. Got the wrong color. So, and I probably should do this over a more preferential like time frame. It's not going to all happen in 1 minute, but I believe this is what's happening with oil, and I'm really excited about it. I think this is going to be fucking amazing, and this is what's coming. Let's hop over here, though, real quickly. So, yeah, oil's going to be sick. This is going to be sick. I'm very excited about all this. Somebody was also talking about the fact that Trump was sitting in between Elon Musk and then one of the people who, I don't know if he's on a board or what he does, but he's with Saudi Aramco on the right. You best believe energy prices are coming down. You best believe that. They are. Bacon emoji. How long do miners pivoting to AI, DCs, has that been a thing? Just this year. It wasn't really, just this cycle. Mr. Monkey, $100 CleanSpark in 2025. Bring it. Yeah, I think it's 64 to 100. That's my take still, even with dilution. I mean, they're growing faster than everybody else, and they're gaining on HUT by like 600 Bitcoin. I don't remember if it's a month. I think it's a month. No. Is it a month? Yeah, it might be, as far as holdings. Ryan O'Malley, Jesse, not financial advice question. If we 3x a retirement account, would it be beneficial to take a disbursement and then with those earnings buy BTC, assuming no change in tax rate? That's a tough thing. That depends on like how much you're talking about. There's so many things in regard to that. I would definitely do your research and talk to a tax accountant. It just all depends. You want to take a disbursement at the right time, right? So not financial advice, but maybe you want to do that at the peak. Maybe you want to do that at the peak, and then that way you have more money, and that way you can see what happens with some of the tax policies too, and maybe capital gains or anything that Trump might be doing, and then you could move that over into like a trough in Bitcoin. Just my 2 cents. That's kind of the way I would want to do it, right? I'd want to sell out of that retirement account near the peak. In whatever allocation I was looking to do and understand the tax obligations for it. And then I would want to see if we get that 30 to 40% drop. And then I would probably buy my, cold storage Bitcoin at that time, because then you've got that multiplier to the upside in the future, and you don't have to worry about getting additional loss on top of taxes. My 2 cents, kind of hard to do, but we're going to have a bunch of top indicators that we're going to be looking at. I'll actually pull some of those up. Somebody was asking about them earlier, so we will look at them, okay? Victor says, good morning. Seems like a century since last Friday. Yeah, it does. It seems like a long time. Bacon emoji makes sense. Just looked at network hash. Crazy efficient. Ryan O'Malley. Oh, no, that was you. Gregory, there's a level where MSTR might be buying too much BTC as far as risk. No. His liquidation, Michael Saylor's liquidation levels in the last cycle were down to $3,100. He was going to be fine till 3,100. We got to 15K. It's all accretive, guys. There is so little risk in regard to what MicroStrategy is doing. The entire Bitcoin network would be dead before we saw MicroStrategy get liquidated. Okay? So not a thing, especially with all the other fundamental narratives that we have pushing behind the scenes. It's just not a risk. Michael Saylor is brilliant. He's doing exactly what he should be doing. Frank, this is wild. Bacon emoji, I was thinking of that. New app. BK Trades, morning, sir. Gator, would love to hear exit strategy in miners. Yes, sir. I do plan, I say this actually quite a bit. I do plan on exiting CleanSpark in the 30s to 40s. And with miners, I might be completely out at that time, and I might just be using multipliers for like Bitcoin related boring ass ETF funds for my Bitcoin related stuff, because I'm going to die. I shouldn't even say multipliers, just Bitcoin ETFs most likely. And I might even do some IBIT, because I don't hate BlackRock as much as I used to. I really love how they're pushing the entire market for Bitcoin much higher. And I like the fact that they kind of taken a step back from ESG and all the other bullshit. They seem to be realizing that they're not on the right side of history, at least not if they want their funds to do well. Papa Mark, Elon thinks a magic 8-ball does a better job with interest rate management than the Fed. Yeah, he's probably right. Bacon emoji, Mara bonds. Is that something we're talking about? I mean, I know we're talking about an MSTR dividend, but are we talking about that? Victor Hernandez, when HIMS get into S&P 400 got pumped. Did it get into the S&P 400? Akash, S&P 600. Oh, okay. Is it going up? I'm trying to ascertain what you're saying. Sorry, bro. BD, thank you for being a member. BGZ, is it possible with MSTR and ETFs and sovereign funds that we won't see such a huge bear correction? Yes, it is. But it's also possible that we see just a massive melt up in Bitcoin, which I think is probably really likely. And if that happens, then we'll see a drop just like we normally do. It'll just be to a lesser and lesser degree because of economies of scale and the fact that we have dedicated buyers that will be companies, individuals, states, and countries. So in a massive way. So I think we could have a major melt up, and I think we'll have a lower trough no matter what. My 2 cents. You can buy Bitcoin in an IRA if you move funds to something like an BitcoinIRA.com. Yeah. You can buy Bitcoin in any. I mean, it's so many different. If you have an IRA, you could just buy Bitcoin easily, or proxies easily, in almost all of them. And if you can't, just move to a different one. Value Maxi. Oh, that was you. Sorry. Bacon emoji. Wonder what happens to miners. Must Trump 2028. Yeah. No, that won't be it. It'll be Vance. It'll be JD Vance. And Trump won't be or Musk won't be a part of it. And Trump's done. Trump won't be in the next election. He'll be too old. Way too old. Gregory, why did Tyson look like a beast training and then an old man in the ring? Fight rigged? I don't know. I think it probably was. At the very least, I just think it really hurts his legacy, and that makes me sad. I wanted to see, being a 47-year-old man myself, I wanted to see a 58-year-old Mike Tyson just lay Jake Paul out because Jake Paul deserves it. But he got his $20 million check. I just think it's a bummer because, I don't know. There's this guy that he used to be when I was a kid, and then there's who he is now, which is just old and falling apart, right? Like all the rest of us. VR Japan, there's probably also a technical, as in production, lower limit to oil prices. I wonder what the OPEC lower acceptable price is. I don't even care what OPEC thinks. We dwarf them, VR. We dwarf them. Michael Krause, my boy. Oil below $50 means capping a lot of wells in the U.S., which means layoffs. It depends on whether or not there's government subsidies behind it. I'm not big on government subsidies, but I think lowering the price of oil and energy costs is a good one. Like across the board, give some kind of discounts for just generating energy, no matter what it is. Okay, so I think that could be a possibility in the future, and I think it would be a good thing too. We want to control the energy markets for the world. We want that, and again, one thing you're not including, Michael, is just the ability to innovate. And figure out how to lower the price of oil and pulling it out of the ground through automation and robotics. So there's things that maybe can be done and incentives that could be placed that would help with that as well. Mara's down because of the $700 million convertible notes offering. Isn't that funny? That's funny. I should buy more Mara. Maybe I'll do that with all my Tesla monies today. Let's see how we're doing real quick, guys, before we get into this video and do a little bit more. Let's see how things are going today, okay? It looks like CNBC's talking about the fight. Don't really give a shit about that. 5.78% on Tesla. This looks so bullish, guys. Again, I kind of redrew my projections for Tesla on what I think is going to happen. I do believe, and this is probably too early in January, I do believe we can get into the 400s. I think we'll at least test 390 something by the end of this year. Probably take a little more off the table then. And then again, I think we could get up to the 500 range by early next year, and maybe it's February, maybe it's March. I don't know. We could have a recess. I think that it would make sense that we pump into the year end because everybody's got a decent amount of gains this year, and that what actually happens is we get our drop heading into the new year. So it might be a good idea to take just a little bit in the profits with some things, not too much for Bitcoin, maybe a little bit for Tesla. Heading into the new year, because again, tax loss harvesting isn't going to be a thing this year for a lot of people. They're going to have wicked gains on Tesla, and so they're not going to want to sell. They're going to want to sell after the new year. So think about stuff like that a lot. But I think today, maybe I'll nibble off a little bit of Tesla, especially if we get a good run, and use that as an opportunity to buy some Mara because they are the biggest Bitcoin holder for a publicly traded Bitcoin miner, non-synthetic miner, not including MicroStrategy, on Earth. And I think that has some weight. So yeah, I might buy some. Let's see, BGZ. Oh, I already got tiers. All right, lots more comments. Let's keep going though. Let's keep going. Let's listen to this. I want to hear what he has to say about bonds. Bonds are going to be very important, guys. I've got lots. I'm still trying to hash through all my thoughts on bonds. The bond market is incredibly important. There's a few things that I want to touch on today, but understanding what's going to happen with bonds and treasuries and currencies this next year is incredibly important for our future and our portfolios because, again, it could slow down growth. It could slow down liquidity. We don't want to see that. So we'll be really paying attention to this.
Mr. President, Mr. Former President, Bill, we also had Austin Goolsbee on last week talking about core inflation being around 2.8%. Does it make sense to you with the 10-year ticking higher? Does it make sense at this point to continue cutting, or does that mean we're just moving the goalposts on inflation?
So I think Powell's view is that inflation is going to continue to come down, but it's going to take a little while to be fully realized.
I do agree with that. I actually want to show you guys some stuff real quick while the stock goes through, and I want to talk about. There's some people I listen to at Blockworks that I think they're younger guys, but they're brilliant in regard to bonds. We see a little bit of bond volatility today. I think that's okay. Let's see the 2 years. Is it going higher? It's trying to 0.21%. Again, kind of topping off here, hitting some resistance levels, getting closer to, again, what was kind of a resistance level over here, a support zone over here, tried to be support. Again, hitting up around this 50 moving average on the weekly is going to be a strong level of resistance. So we're kind of in it. We're trying to push up against it, but I don't think we're going to go higher. And I want to show the 10-year especially, since that's what they're going to be talking about, and that's what's most closely tied with mortgage rates. So that one's trying to scream higher today too. Again, it's hitting that red line that we drew the other week. You can see where, again, support, resistance, and then that stuff just goes back further too. But you can see why it's trying to press up against this. It's trying to go higher, but I think it's going to fail. You got bearish divergences over here. And one of the people that I was listening to from Blockworks talking about, I don't remember his name. I need to understand these people together. I'm trying to spend a lot more time with the bond and the tariff people. Bond, treasuries, tariffs, currencies. That is my primary focus right now because I think it's going to be so important and really understanding the tariffs. If you listen to mainstream news, tariffs are going to be all bad. It's not going to do anything good. It's going to destroy the U.S. It's going to create additional inflation. I think that's a bullshit narrative. We don't even know what tariffs are going to be implemented yet. Some people are speculating that they're weaker. Some people are speculating that they're stronger. But I want to understand the ramifications of all these trade channels and whatever happens with tariffs. So that's where we're going to be spending our time. But one of the bond people I was listening to said that if Powell lowers rates again, it's going to crack the bond vigilantes, and they're going to have to relent and let yields go down, and they're going to end up buying more bonds. So that's what I think is going to happen. I'm leaning towards that right now. My thesis might change in the future, and I will definitely notify you guys if it does.
He talked about the fact that shelter costs are still going up pretty rapidly, but that's a lagged response to the fact that it takes time for rent prices to reprice low.
For people catching up, Mara, $700 million convertible debt offering. They're going to use it to buy Bitcoin. That has been huge. I mean, confirm if that's the case, guys. I haven't looked at the post. I should probably post that real quick. But that's going to be, that's worked out huge for MicroStrategy, right? So why are we worried about it with Mara? I don't know. I actually think that's probably going to be really beneficial for them. So, I did MSTR again. I want to do Mara. So I think this is going to be all right. Having a large amount of Bitcoin is not a bad thing. Being by far the largest holder of Bitcoin is not a bad thing. Let me see. Where is this announcement? Right here. All right. Thank you for that. Thank you for always keeping me up to date with everything that's going on, guys. I really appreciate you. Oh, let me see here real quick. Crypto klepto. That guy's such an idiot. You know what? I'll just put this under Bitcoin for now. Whatever. Very cool stuff. Let's move on.
And he's also concerned that the labor market is, not that strong. So his view is that the policy is still restrictive. The labor market is still vulnerable to weakness. And so heading in the direction of neutral is still the right course. I think the data, though, is obviously causing problems for them because the economy has been persistently stronger than expected and inflation has been stickier than expected. So the big debate in the market now is does the Fed cut in December? The market basically says yes, but not definitively. And then their view is that maybe the Fed will take a pause after that to wait for more information.
Bill, that dual mandate is a total pain, is it not? I mean, really, when you try and the parts of each side seem mutually exclusive. It's not an easy job for anyone to try to navigate.
Well, you're trying to get to the tightest labor market you can without having an inflation problem. So you're sort of balancing these two objectives.
It seems really difficult. What does it? The move higher in yields on the 10-year. What do you attribute that to? Since that jumbo cut of 50 basis points and the election, a little bit of both. There's still some residual inflation fear, and also, I don't know, maybe some trepidation on what a Trump presidency means for the deficit?
Yeah, I think the big driver is the fact that the economy is stronger than expected. And so people think the Fed's not going to cut rates as far as they thought before. If you go back a few months ago, the markets were priced for the federal funds rate to fall to around 2.9%. Currently, the trough in the federal funds rate looking at it in 2026 is 3.8%. So higher level of short rates translate directly to a higher level of 10-year Treasury note yields. But I do think the fiscal is an issue. And the fact that some of the Trump proposals on tariffs and deportations could also be not only disruptive to the economy, but could push up inflation is probably also weighing on the market.
Yeah, and that's just a narrative by fucking people like you and CNBC and CBS and NBC and ABC and is ABC a thing? I don't know. There's every fucking mainstream news media site out there. And if you guys still listen to these to get your news and figure out how to invest, you're being a moron. They didn't tell you who was going to win the election, did they? Also, on that note, Tom Lee says that X is going to be key for the next election, and that even though the narrative is that its influence is diminishing and that X is failing in the mainstream media, it's quite the opposite of that, and that it's really growing and becoming more powerful. So if you're going to get your news somewhere, why wouldn't you get it from the place where it is born? Why wouldn't you get it from X? Why would you get it from this old-ass legacy stuff? Again, I look at this for narratives. I look at this because every once in a while they have decent people on the show. I don't look at it as a source of truth, and you shouldn't either.
If you look at what's happening, it's partly real rates have gone up, but it's also partly inflation expectations. So the market is, I think, rethinking about the idea that the Trump policies are going to be conducive to low inflation. And I think the tariffs are the biggest risk there.
They were never going to be conducive to low inflation. That was never going to fucking happen. They're pro-growth. They're pro-growth and low taxation. We could get more inflation in a pro-growth presidency. Nobody thought, oh God, Donald Trump, whoa, that's going to be like, he's really going to get rid of inflation. Fuck no. Who thought that? This guy is who? The former New York Fed president. This guy right here. Some of these people. He's always going to be higher inflation. We were always going to have higher inflation. I've been saying this for years. 2% is gone. 3%, like the 3.5 range, is the new future. And to say that, like, people thought that Donald Trump was going to be low inflation, nobody thought that. That's the stupidest fucking comment I've ever heard, and it's coming from a former New York Fed president. It lets you know why the Fed should be dissolved.
If you raise tariffs by 10% across the board, 60% for China, that's going to definitely drive import prices. And the increase is going to be a lot larger than it was last time because...
And here's the thing, guys. Inflation being slightly hotter, when you're pro-growth and low taxation, you know what that's a recipe for? Making money. Lots of it. You want pro-growth. You don't mind higher inflation because all that inflation, especially when Bitcoin's your strategic, like when you have a strategic Bitcoin reserve asset, if you print more money, you make yourself richer. You make everybody richer. If you're the number one hub and you have the greatest amount of people and companies invested in Bitcoin and the government invested in Bitcoin and states invested in Bitcoin and you print more money, all you do is make everybody richer. You suck up all of the money. It all comes here.
The tariffs increases during the first Trump term were very modest. They went from about 1.5% of imports to 3% of imports. Now we're talking about something like 3% of imports to 15% of imports or 20% of imports, much bigger magnitude of increase.
And I just wonder, any comments on the relationship between the president-elect and the Fed chair? I mean, you appointed him. Do you think it's going to be smooth sailing? And can I throw your hat into the Treasury Secretary ring? Do you want me to do that, or no interest?
I think they have no interest.
That's cold.
I would say that the Powell is basically trying to keep his head down. He was very definitive at the press conferences. No, I'm not going to leave my post early. Plan to serve up my term as chair to May of 2026. And two, Trump doesn't have the legal authority to kick me out sooner. So he started trying to put that to rest. And then once we get to early 2026, we'll probably see a new Fed chair, and the speculation will start about who that is and how friendly will they be to the Trump administration. There's a reason why we want the Fed to be independent, though, because it's been shown pretty clearly around the world that a more independent central bank leads to better outcomes.
Oh my God, this is like if you were looking at mainstream media, you would see the same line coming from everybody. Jerome Powell said it last week. If you look, an independent Fed leads to better economies. An independent Fed leads to better economies. An independent Fed leads to better economies. Do any of these people actually have brains? Do any of them? It's like they get the approved list of talking points each fucking week, and they just reiterate them over and over again. But what I want to talk to is what a point I just made. BGZ said, "Hey, MicroStrategy acquired more Bitcoin." Yeah, they've acquired like almost 80,000 in 2 fucking weeks. Why is that interesting? Because they've acquired a half a year of new supply in 2 fucking weeks, and they're one company. If you can't find the signal behind that, there's no hope for you. Okay? One company. Just pretend like all the Bitcoin miners doing their thing over the next half a year, all bought in 2 weeks.
Comes on inflation.
Let's listen to this moron.
And employment. Right. If you don't have an independent central bank, then the monetary policy gets whipsawed based on the election cycle, and that usually doesn't lead to good outcomes.
Right. Nothing's perfect, but it's probably the best we got. Do you have a preference for who would you like to see as Treasury Secretary? Who would you like to see as
Fewer humans. All right. So Jesse, true on long run on lowering costs, but all costs are labor costs. So fewer humans is the easiest way. If you're referencing the fact, fewer humans is actually a horrible thing for the economy. Fewer humans destroys the economy. It's like the worst possible thing because you lower GDP because humans are the equivalent of GDP, right? But with Elon Musk producing a bunch of robots to replace human labor, and I won't even say replace because I think that's a wrong word. It's not replace. They're going to help facilitate more efficiency from companies. They're going to facilitate more efficiency from people. It's not like people are going to stop doing everything all the time. They're going to be like, dude, let's build a pond in the backyard. Optimists, get to work. They're going to be like, hey, clean my house and do all these other things. I want to be productive and work on this thing I love so much. It's going to just increase GDP, increase happiness, increase efficiency, productivity exponentially. And that will lower costs. Technology advancements lower cost. There's tons of things. For anybody, if you haven't read The Price of Tomorrow from Jeff Booth, you need to read it. It talks about how technology and innovation will lower the costs and reduce inflation on everything. So we can theoretically print shit tons of money, get richer from Bitcoin as a reserve asset, while creating massive growth through AI, automation, and robotics, and reducing the price of everything from technological advancement. This is literally the best time to be alive in history from an investment standpoint, in my opinion. It's like the early 1900s. Well, that's hard to say because there were some recessions and depressions that occurred, not just the Great Depression, because we just had so many problems back then and didn't really have an advanced economy, especially in the financial sector. But we're living at what I believe is going to be what did they say? What did Galley say yesterday? Like the great technological renaissance, American Renaissance, an age of abundance, a golden era for this economy and the United States of America. We're living in that right now. Okay, we're living in that. Buying real estate in the 1800s. That's a great analogy too. I just think this is one of the greatest times in human history. That's my base right now, guys. I'm very excited about what's coming next. Very, very, very excited.
Is next Fed chair?
I'm not going to opine on who should be. I just want people that are highly competent.
Whatever. Don't fucking care.
That might be a problem. No, I'm kidding. All right, Bill Dudley, we appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any number that makes
All right. I want to hear this real quick too. Sorry, I'm watching some of these things. I'm trying to keep abreast of what the narrative is with these guys. So this is the China Select lead Democrat. So that lets you know how biased this guy's going to be. Talking about Marco Rubio and his thoughts about him and working with China and all this other stuff. I want to hear what they're going to say here. And we got Dorkin Sorkin. Yeah, it's going to be a great time. It's going to be like a liberal orgy. It's going to be wonderful.
She met at the Asia Pacific Economic Corporation in Peru this weekend. She's saying he is ready to work with
Michael
the new
Saylor?
administration,
Hell
maintain
yeah.
communication, expand cooperation, manage differences. Joining us right now is Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy. He is the lead Democrat on the Select China Committee. And given that you're a Democrat and given that this administration obviously is a Republican-led group, how do you think the dynamic fundamentally changes at this point?
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of continuity between the Biden and the Trump administration.
You do?
And people like Marco. I'm sorry?
I said you do?
He thinks there's going to be a lot of I kind of agree with him. I mean, Biden has been doing tariffs too. He kept all of Trump's and he added more. So I do agree actually with this.
You think there's going to be continuity? That's fascinating.
I think so. I think people like Marco Rubio and Michael Walls, who are colleagues of mine with whom I work closely, know that we have to work in a bipartisan manner. However,
interesting so far, but here comes the however.
With regard to this tariff situation.
Oh, guys, we got the CEO of Perplexity talking about the future of AI. Oh, so many good things we might have to watch today.
If President Trump decides to unleash, 20% across-the-board tariff increases on all products from every country, and then 60% tariffs on Chinese goods, regardless of.
Here's the thing, though. If he does that, it would be staggered. It wouldn't be immediate. It wouldn't. What he would do, he'd probably start something like maybe a 5% tariff or something small, and then he would stagger it and set it like I don't know if it's every 6 months or what it would be for the schedule, but you would stagger it to go higher so that you allow a transitional time for corporations that are in manufacturing to be able to move more towards the United States. So you'd want to give them time to make that move, and you would be creating an incentive for them to do that without too much of a shock to their business. That's what you would do rationally, and I think that's what's going to happen from everything I'm hearing.
Of whether they pose economic or security concerns, I think that would be a big problem. It would disrupt our ties with friends, partners, and allies with whom we are working together to counter Chinese aggression.
Just walks into the Amazon for us.
The prevailing view, though.
Oh, and for people who don't know this, I didn't really highlight this in my talking points, but Joe Biden decided to try and create World War III right before the end of his presidency, and then he walked off into a jungle. So essentially what he's done is he's given Ukraine permission to do long-range attacks all the way into Russia, wherever they want, with long-range weaponry. I don't know what this is, a power play maybe, before the transition to where Ukraine can try and pick up some additional territory or prevent themselves from getting overrun. I don't know, but it's super dangerous, and it's another good reason why this administration is done. But at the end of the press conference, Joe Biden just started walking off into the jungle.
Had been that President Xi preferred President Trump. Why do you think that would be?
President Xi does not prefer Trump. He does not. Trust me, he does not. He is very bummed out. He wanted the communists to win. He wanted Kamala the communist to win. That would have been much easier to work with. And they would have had similar values, right? Like oppression, censorship, all the good stuff. But no, he did not want Trump to win.
Well, I think that part of the reason or part of the notion, obviously I don't know Xi Jinping myself personally. However, there was speculation that to the extent that President Trump
from liberals speculating.
Doing and what OpenAI is doing and what Anthropic's doing and what others are doing. Amazon with its own larger.
One sec.
And therefore,
let me see if I can fix this. I do want to hear that. I want to hear the rest of what he had to say. The ESG backlash is great too. Oh, is it gonna dork it? Oh, wait, here we go.
who are really should not be using our equipment to make technology such as semiconductors, because it's used to modernize the People's Liberation Army or perpetrate human.
I like this guy. This is exciting. I've got to go back just a little bit because I feel like I missed a few things, but I like this guy.
Adopted across-the-board tariffs
for a Democrat.
Was
He's
during the
cool.
Hoover administration in 1930 with the Smoot-Hawley tariffs, and that did not end well. And I don't think we should repeat history in that regard.
Sure.
When you think about the national security implications of our relationship with China and technology and the like, how worried are you about the relationship that they have now with Iran, and how you think, and potentially with Russia?
Yeah, JT.
And to the extent you think that this new administration is going to have any leverage over them or not?
They're going to have tons of leverage.
Currency
leverage.
And you're absolutely right to, for instance, talk about the relationship with Iran and Russia, to the extent, for instance, that we are exporting high-end semiconductors.
And guys, the supreme leader, the Ayatollah or whatever in Iran, he could be in a coma too right now. So there's so much going on geopolitically. It's crazy.
Or even equipment to companies that are making semiconductors in China.
Cool.
That ends up, for instance, in the war machine that is, pursuing this criminal invasion of Ukraine through Russia. Same goes.
Don't jump again, you son of a bitch. You son of a. All right, whatever.
But we've also
We'll
had
call
a
that
reaction.
good. Let me see here. I want to see what else, if anything, I want to cover. Sorry, they sometimes have the good stuff in the mornings. I just want to see what we're getting. Trump team takes shape. I don't know this guy, but I want to hear. I'm trying to learn, like, who do you listen to as far as guests on CNBC, and who do you ignore?
Among the top contenders,
So I'm trying to get better
our
at
next
this.
guest has had a front row seat to what's happening behind the scenes.
I got a
Joining
bunch
us
of
now,
news to talk about too, guys.
Malik, president, founder of Seven.
If there's ever a day I have a market recap, it might be today if I don't get through all the news. There's just so much good stuff happening. Let's look here real quickly. So we got about a half an hour, guys, until market open. Let me hop over. We'll look at the watch list real quick here and just see what's kind of going on with markets. Let me sort by percentage here. So Mara taking a big hit. BITX down 4.34%, CleanSpark down 4%. Yeah, today might be a good day for miners, guys. I might pick up more in regard to miners. Let's sort the other way. Tesla's still crushing it, up 6.2%. HIM's getting a little bit. ARKG getting some. That's kind of nice to see. Uranium, we got the uranium coming up. We got Hood. We got ARGT. Argentina. Oh, so much good news. Bloomberg talking about Argentina, getting excited about it, talking about how their growth needs to be revised higher. That's going to be a beautiful play, guys. I think Argentina might just kind of tread sideways slowly, and while it's doing that, I plan on buying a lot of it. Did I see the CleanSpark interview? You mean the Matthew Schultz interview from my buddy Rex Finance? I did. Rex is a great guy. Here, I'll show it to you real quick so we can, since this has been mentioned like 10 times in the chat. I love Rex. He's a buddy of mine, and it was a great interview right here. I'll retweet it again, so you guys can see that. So it is there right now. And again, I think that there is I think it's a wonderful interview. I think Matt Schultz is brilliant. I think he does a great job, hopefully, persuading people to not be worried about their dilution. I've never understood why people would be worried about stock dilution for a company that is trying to be the biggest Bitcoin miner on earth. Just doesn't make any sense to me. I want to see them grow. I want to see them be the strongest. Also, my buddy, Mr. Bear Hewitt. Sometimes I get a little burnt by the beavers and some other different colors here as far as things like this. But Mr. Bear Hewitt, young guy in his early 20s, I think he did a really good job on some of his charting, and so I showed his CleanSpark one. But let's move on back over to here. Let's listen to who this guy looks like a douche. Let's find out if he is.
89 Capital. It's good to have you on, Omid. And are you actually, where are you right now? Are you on, is this a Zoom?
This is a Zoom in my office, but yeah, I think you're implying I'm about 5 minutes away from Mar-a-Lago.
About 5 minutes away from Mar-a-Lago. Former Democrat.
Former.
I think you have a famous
maybe he's all
employee
right.
named DJT Jr. Is that true?
That is true. The junior being the operative word there, not the president, but his son. Yeah. So, but that's just a formality. He and I have been business partners for
Yes, we did, Tezos.
almost 4 years now, investing in what we call the EIG economy, which stands for entrepreneur.
Yes, we did see that, Tezos. But more importantly, MicroStrategy bought in the last 2 weeks. They just bought more Bitcoin. They bought it like another 52,000. So in the last 2 weeks, they bought a half a year of the new supply of Bitcoin. Just this one company. That's kind of cool too.
Entrepreneurship, innovation, and growth. And that's our acronym that stands totally counter to ESG.
Right, and even when a
All right, I take it back. This guy, I like this guy. I like him a lot.
publication tries to describe 1789 or they say anti-woke. You comfortable with that?
You're picking up on something pretty important. You know, when we were the loyal opposition, maybe it's okay to have an anti in front of your name, but I think we were validated in our thesis with what happened a few weeks ago. We prefer a much more positive vision, to your point, which is focusing on how to spur innovation. But what we clearly do not support are ESG or DEI policies that we think have destroyed shareholder value, really, which is factual now that you can map that performance out over the last 15 years. We also want to make sure that we're providing choice to customers. And it's all predicated in data, by the way. If you look at 2020 voting patterns, the folks that voted for Biden in 2020 represented 70% of American GDP, and Trump voters were 30% of American GDP. So at first blush, you might say, oh, that's not that great. Well, 30% of American GDP is $7 trillion. That's the third largest economy in the world. And I think it's stipulated that for a long time, corporate America was not only ignoring them, but alienating them. We want to play in those areas.
Smart.
And you can have an emerging market south of the Mason-Dixon line.
It's all six things, and I'm talking about entrepreneurship, innovation, growth, equity, social, government. It seems like any decent startup
how that
company, by definition,
Thanks, Scott, Grace.
has components of all those things. I guess it's just how you emphasize things where we went awry. I mean, who starts a company that doesn't think about entrepreneurship, innovation, and growth, as well as governance and everything else, Omid?
It's so much more complicated than that, unfortunately, and you guys have been spending a few years talking to Vivek about it. It starts with the asset management arena. So you have to look at the capital
he'll probably
flows
just buy more.
that are informing behavior. So you've seen the conduct of public companies. I don't think that Exxon wants to get out of fossil fuels, but they're pressured to do so. That kind of conduct and behavior trickles all the way down to Silicon Valley. You had, until very recently, some of the biggest Silicon Valley firms refusing to invest in any areas of defense tech. That's an area that we have stepped into because their employees, and for whatever reasons, they didn't want to support the US government. At the same time, they were more than comfortable going and investing in China, which is our number one enemy,
how stupid is that?
Adversary, if you will, as well as starting Chinese-only funds where they would receive money from Chinese investors. I try to equate that to someone starting a fund during the Cold War and going over to the Soviet Union and raising capital, but not at the same time investing in America. So
I like
that kind of absurdity presented us with the opportunity to fill in over a couple of years ago.
Reportedly, you had something to do with Tulsi Gabbard and maybe RFK Jr.
Hamid Malik
beginning to warm up to the president-elect early on and eventually.
This guy only has 13,700 followers on X, guys. Hamid Malik. We definitely need to pump those numbers up.
Endorsing, and I guess even J.D. Vance, you had relationships with these individuals as well, and you would say that you sort of helped in that regard?
Yeah, well, with respect to J.D. Vance, he comes from the same area, so we had a previous relationship, and I was one of his first donors when he was still running in the primary in the state in Ohio. So I've just known him for a while and was.
Where are you from in Ohio, Reed?
No. I'm from New Jersey. But to be clear, when he was running for Senate in Ohio, that's when we were supporting him. So back then.
Okay, because I actually am from Cincinnati, and Middletown is right. I mean, it's almost the same thing. But yeah, go ahead. So
my college friend was from Chillicothe, Ohio. So that's right outside of Columbus, if that counts. But yeah, so I have some
that counts.
Ohio. Okay, so yeah, kind of. So that's J.D. Vance. As it relates to Tulsi Gabbard, I was one of her first donors in 2019 when she ran for president and maintained a strong relationship with her throughout that process. And then same with Robert Kennedy. I think the more important point, and I can obviously go into details of those endorsements, but the reality is with respect to with RFK and Tulsi, they represented a much broader point, I think, what's happened in the country, which are both former Democrats who went through either a metamorphosis or an awakening, however you want to put it, and felt like the Democratic Party they knew had moved away from them. I had that awakening, I'll put it, more around 2019 or 2020. But whether you're talking about Kennedy or Tulsi or even Musk, all three of whom voted for Biden in 2020, you kind of knew that if those iconoclasts were shifting, there were going to be millions of people behind them.
Yes.
Because they represented that. And that's why I was so bullish on the election heading into it. And in contrast, what did the Democrats bring over? Lynn Cheney. I'm not sure she had a huge constituency.
I mean, what do you think about the race for this Treasury Secretary role, and clearly what's now spilling out into the public just about the sort of internal debate about some of these names, whether it be the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald or Scott Bessent, or now Mark Rowan, who apparently is flying in from...
Victor, with Mara Dump, could it be a nice options play for January 2026? I don't do options that short, dude. I wouldn't do anything less than June or July, personally. I'd want to go out a ways. I just don't like playing with short-term options.
Asia to meet with the president-elect, or Kevin Warsh, or perhaps other names that you want to throw out there.
Look, at a high level with the first two, Lutnick, I was a client of his for a D-SPAC. I know him well.
Lutnick is brilliant.
And with Scott, he was a client of mine when I was at Bank of America when he was starting his hedge fund. So I have relationships on the business side with both of these folks who are extremely accomplished in their own way. I would look at what the Journal put out last night. I'm not sure if you guys saw it, about the kind of person you need for Treasury. And I think they were spot on, which is, to one extent, you don't want to do what Musk is saying, which is to go in there and blow things up. That's one department. I probably don't feel that way as a market participant. You're going to need someone that's going to create confidence with their abilities from a macroeconomic perspective, and their credibility. So that's a quality I would look for. But at the same time, and this is what's really important and it needs to inform almost every pick the president makes, is how do you take someone that is accomplished in the field, but at the same time is going to incorporate some of the more innovative, I'd say, elements.
This is why you need Lutnick, which is who Elon is backing. You want a Lutnick. You want somebody who's got a couple $100 million in Bitcoin that's going to push for the reserve for Bitcoin. You want this guy in power. You want him.
Of this America First Trump policy. And so specifically with respect to Treasury, you're going to have somebody who has all the things I described, but at the same time is going to...
Yeah, broke mentality. I don't like a year out normally, or at least right now for Bitcoin, because that was probably like when the cycle is already done.
They get on board with DOGE and the cutting as well as the tariffs. So that is why sometimes it takes us longer to find people, because I think we're carving out a third way.
Well, so when you think about... if
and he might be right there. It sounds like Trump is meeting with a bunch of different people. So we might be carving out a third way. He might be right.
You take out Lutnick from that group then you're talking about a Bessent. I don't know if a Bessent, you would know better than I, whether a Bessent or a Kevin Warsh is demonstrably on board with tariffs, or by the way, similarly with a Mark Rowan.
But again, that's going to be what they have to prove to the president. And, my knowledge of Scott and Howard is that they both are completely on board with that.
I'm sorry. When I look at these three people, I'm going Lutnick.
Have a personal relationship with the other two. They're obviously extremely accomplished. So I'm not questioning anything about the ability or acumen. But through the interview process, that's what they're going to have to demonstrate to President Trump.
I mean,
I want that guy.
You're investing in
right
media,
here.
but Tucker Carlson's media company. Do you think that what is the current state, in your view, after this election, of legacy media? And do you think it's ripe for disruption? And what's it look like?
Yes.
I mean, all media is...
I love that Joe keeps bringing up the disruption of legacy media. I'm sure his coworkers are like, shut the fuck up. I want to keep my job.
Going through these gut-wrenching changes right now. I don't know. Has mainstream media really come to grips with who they are and what the country thinks at this point of mainstream media after this election?
I mean, look, there's clearly going to be a change on the economic side. Yeah, that's what I focus on. Just a moment with the new FCC chairman, you clearly have a very strong view about something that's upset a lot of us. I mean, my galvanizing moment was really what I saw was kind of suppression of speech at the hands of either big tech monopolies or the mainstream media. What that has caused, particularly during the COVID period, is a capitalistic desire to fuel options. And that's exactly what either the Tucker Carlson network that we invested in or Substack that we've invested in was fueled by. So there was a demand for these other platforms. And then you see it manifest in this last election, to your point, Joe. And it had a big impact with Joe Rogan and the fact that the entire strategy of both RFK before he dropped out and then Trump was to go to these platforms.
Yeah.
And you see that they actually have a lot more people watching them in many cases than the mainstream media. So I think there's going to be a reckoning. I heard that Joe Scarborough and Mika went to come and see the president. That was after 7 years.
Yeah, they said that themselves.
Right. I think they said that this morning. So that is clearly, I think, a microcosm of what you're going to see as a change in behavior. I don't think, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, the last 8 years was productive to have this acrimonious relationship between those of us that are affiliated with this administration and the media writ large. I think if you're going to get something a little bit more straight, hopefully in response to the challenges that they face, you're going to have something come a little bit more in the middle. And I have seen that to a certain extent with, obviously you guys do it, and some of the other platforms have dissenting voices on. I think that's extremely necessary.
I mean, one of the other names talking about dissension among Republicans, Matt Gaetz. Where do you land on that? And at a time when clearly the president and president-elect has a huge number of priorities to get through, whether you think that scrambles and creates an additional challenge or headwind?
Not if they can do recess appointments and force everybody in. He'll get exactly what he wants.
That maybe he doesn't need. That's one perspective. Other people, clearly the president thinks that this is the right man who's going to shake things up.
Yeah, I'll always tell you guys, as I've already done in this interview, when I have a personal relationship with someone, which is usually most of the time, but I don't know him personally, but obviously I know him by reputation. I think, speaking.
He does look like an uglier version of the Joker, I'm not going to lie. And I know there's some history here with him and young girl or something. I don't know. I don't know all the details of this stuff. And I can't trust what I've heard from mainstream media in the past. That's the only recollection I have of Matt Gaetz. Is what I heard in the past when I was, voting for Joe Biden and Obama and these other people. So I can't trust it. I have to reevaluate who he is. So I don't know. We'll see. But he kind of reminds me of the Joker. So does Gavin Newsom. And this guy's probably, got better integrity than he does.
Candidly, there are areas I think he's done great work on. Other parts he's controversial. The point of the exercise, obviously, is for him to go through the confirmation process and see what comes out. So I would say, though, that there is a concern, and you guys are aware of this on our side, that the last 4 years you saw the weaponization of a lot of the legal system. And I think this is clearly a pick to counteract that in the president's mind. And so, I'd probably leave it at that.
Very good. All right, Omid, I don't know, where are we? About halfway. I don't even know if we're halfway finished, going very quickly, and every day gives us plenty to talk about.
All right, that was interesting. Let's see what else they have on here. I just want to see if there's anything else. Future of AI industry. Oh, hey, this is Perplexity. Let's see here. I know they had the Perplexity CEO. Yeah. Kind of interested in this. All right, guys, I might. I got to get coffee anyway, so you guys let me know if there's anything good on here, okay? But I think I'm going to run. I'm going to get some coffee. Give me 2 minutes. It's not like I'm going to Starbucks. And watch the Perplexity CEO talking about AI. Let me know if I miss anything here, okay? Very excited to see what he has to say. He's a pretty smart dude. I'll be right back, okay? Give me 1 second.
Welcome back to Squawk Box. Got some news from Perplexity AI this morning. The company launching an AI-powered shopping assistant that should help it with consumers as holiday bargain hunting ramps up. Joining us right now to talk about this and the broader competition in AI. Arvind Srivastava is the CEO of Perplexity AI, and we love having you on the broadcast. Congratulations on the new launch. Let's talk about that piece of it, and then let's get into the broader sort of question of where things are. OpenAI recently releasing its own search product. How important is the shopping piece for you?
Yeah, thank you for having me again here, Andrew. So shopping is really essential because it's just one of these verticals where strongly you convey that all these AI products are moving beyond just giving you answers, right? A lot of people say, oh, which AI product should I really use? They're all looking like the same. They're all giving me answers. Some use the web, some don't. But you need to actually enable actions. What do you do after an answer, purchase, or transaction? So all these products need to get there. So shopping is the first step for us to actually get there, and we're very happy to be the first to do that. Where at Perplexity now becomes a one-stop solution to not just research your products on what to buy, but you can actually go and buy it right there natively on the app. So you, with one-click buy, which is revolutionary in e-commerce even 20, 30 years ago, we are bringing into AI products, and we are giving free shipping for all people, and they can just take their phone and like point it at some product that they want to buy and just ask, where can I buy this? And they can just get it right there. And this is really powerful. So people can just compare, ask questions they could never ask before, like help me build a library or help me host a disco party. What all do I need to buy? And you just get all the products right there and compare, and all the reviews are surfaced from so many different parts of the web, and you just fulfill your transactions right there.
Well, that's what I was going to ask about. What products you surface, what products you don't surface. Obviously, Amazon has its own search business inside its own platform. Can you get Amazon products on it? Are you, I hate to use the word scraping, but when you look at reviews on other sites and you're pulling that, is everybody allowing all of this to happen? Are some going to block you? How's it going to work?
Yeah, so we are also introducing this thing called the merchant program, the Perplexity merchant program. And we are inviting merchants to work with us because we think consumers love this, and that's always the long-term correct direction. And so if we can collaboratively build this next generation shopping assistant for all customers, where merchants can bring their
trying to replace
to us
Amazon
and product specs and help in the checkout flow. That way we can provide this experience to everybody. And we're already working with Shopify. We're enabling people to check out products on Shopify through ShopPay and bringing it right into our search results.
I mentioned Amazon because Jeff Bezos is a very high-profile investor in your company. Is Amazon involved, and do you think that they will be?
Oh, okay.
We're not yet ready to talk about.
All right, so it's just a pitch. Yeah, Steven, you asked earlier. What did you ask? Will CleanSpark buy Bitcoin? CleanSpark won't. They won't buy Bitcoin. That's not going to happen. CleanSpark wants to be the biggest miner on Earth, the most effective miner on Earth. That's what they're going for. Mara sucks at efficiency, but they want... these guys are talking about the Trump transition. Tesla resumes post-election surge. I might want to see what they're talking about with that. One sec, I'm going to pause this. So Mara kind of sucks at mining. Don't tell Fred I said that. But they do. Why do I feel yellower than normal? Let me just try something real quick here. Let me see here. Turn that off. Maybe just keep that off. All right, maybe turn this on. Maybe do this. Less yellow. Okay, whatever. I don't know if that helped at all. Oh, dude, there's the autumn scene above me. Okay, one second. Let me fix this again. So I figured it out. All right, let's get. Yeah, that's better. That's better. Okay. Can't fuck with my light. So CNBC or YouTube TV, CNBC has like an autumn thing, and so that's why I'm looking at. Anyway, whatever. Nobody cares. But yeah, so CleanSpark wants to be the biggest miner on Earth. Mara doesn't give a shit about that. I mean, they do want to be, but they're not the most efficient. They're not focused on efficiency. They're not focused on being the best. They're just trying to like brute force it in the mining area. And then they're also trying to buy Bitcoin because, again, that's just another way to be effective. So Mara is your biggest Bitcoin miner currently, probably not going to be in the future. And you get or they will be because they have such a big Bitcoin hodl. CleanSpark is like you're going for efficiency, you're going for fast growth, you're going for what I believe arguably is the best Bitcoin miner on the planet. So they're two very different things. All right, let's real quickly. Are they that far behind? Why didn't Mara dilute to upgrade their rigs rather than buy Bitcoin? Again, they don't care about that as much. They care less about their rigs and they care more about their Bitcoin holdings because that's the easy button, right? If you just buy Bitcoin and it goes up and you sell at the right time, and Mara did a pretty good job selling, so did CleanSpark. They actually manage their balance sheets with Bitcoin to try and time the tops and the bottoms, which I think you have to do if you're a Bitcoin miner. Anybody who doesn't do that is an idiot. because you just won't be able to survive. If you don't time the tops and the bottoms, again, if you don't hold any Bitcoin, you don't have to worry about that, but you miss all the benefit of the appreciation of the asset and the FASB accounting rule changes. So it's kind of dumb to miss out on that. That's my take. That's how I look at miners. Let's real quickly, though, listen to these guys talking about Tesla and the Musk effect and see how close they are to reality or what their narrative is at the very least. And then I've got a bunch of news. After that, we've got about 10 minutes until market open. So we'll let them chatter for a little bit, and then we'll jump to that. And then we'll look at the stock market and see how it's playing out. I'm probably going to sell a little bit of Tesla options today at the very least. I want to sell a little bit just for my own personal finances. So I'll sell probably a little bit of that. And then I'll be looking at miners today because I think some of them are going to be cheap. And I'm all about buying cheap miners heading into what I believe is going to be an amazing Q1 and Q2 and Q3 of next year.
We'll have more on that as well, guys.
Let's begin with Elon Musk in this post-election boost for Tesla.
Is there a way to know when miners start selling? Yeah, there is. There's actually there's metrics that show us that too, guys. People were asking earlier. I'll just cover this super fast, okay? So there are ways like the MRVZ score to time cycle tops. If you looked over here, when it goes into the red, you sell. When it goes into the red, you sell. You would have sold in the 50,000 to 60,000 range over here. That would have actually been a really good time to sell. And then when it dropped over here, you could have bought a little more if you were speculating. When it dropped, 45%, you could have bought a little more speculating that it was going to go higher. And then when you saw that, I don't know, there'd be other indicators that maybe got you out over here. When you saw that it was double topping and dumping over here, you could definitely see how there was a trend where it was going to go down further. So anyway, but if you sold right at the tippity top and when it was in the red, you did good. If you sold over here when it was in the red, you probably sold like in the 18,000 or something. This was very easy in 2017, I think, to see the top, even though I did not see it because I didn't know what a halving event was. Over here, you can see where it did a great job when it went red and getting you out over here. And then again, parabolic over here into the red, you get out. So there are, and this is just one of many different ways. And it does a really great job on bottoms. Look at this. Look at this, guys. So over here, you bought the bottom when it was in deep green. You did really well. You bought the bottom when it was in deep green or overshoots it. You did really well. You bought the bottom when it was deep green. You did really well. You bought the bottom when it was deep green. You did really well. So there are indicators. This is just one. There are probably over a dozen that I follow with Glassnode that help with things like this. There are also Bitcoin miner details that show when miners are selling and how much they're selling. I don't know if I have that right now. Let me see. Miner. I don't know if I have that on here. Bitcoin balance on miner wallets. That's an interesting one. Let's look at that. So balance on miner wallets continues to go down. They don't have a ton. All miners make up, what does it say? 1.8 million BTC on their wallets. But if you look at these numbers, they're lower and lower and lower and lower and lower, right? Let's see what else we got here. Total miner revenue for block rewards. That's always an interesting one. Total miner net position change, number of blocks, miner versus year, hash rate prices, capitulation risk. There's so many different indicators that we'll be able to follow, and we'll be spending a lot more time on these later, guys. Later, because we will want to know these details. If you look over here, though, you can just see rewards that they're getting paid out for. Really low right now when the price was low. And I don't even know what this might be delayed to. No, it's pretty close. November 11th, November 17th. So this is just in regard to miner revenue from fees. So fees are low. This shows that we don't even have exuberance yet, or that people aren't even going towards Glassnode Pro subscription is so expensive. Yeah, and I might do that. I might do that or Crypto Quant. I'm not sure yet. I'm doing research on both of them to try and figure out which one I like the most. But there are points to this, and so revenue from fees are really low for Bitcoin right now. But let's look at revenue from block rewards. How are those doing? Are blocks still paying out? Again, this is another cool thing to look at, guys. This shows you how block rewards drop over time and how they're stabilizing. Look at this. This is where we're at right now. So 450-ish a day and in block rewards coming out. Before it was in the 900s. Before that, it was in the 1800-ish range. Before that, it was in the 4,000 to 3,600 range. You can see how it was not as flat and averaged out back then. You had like bigger waves, and and just pushes in different directions. But right now it's really flatlined and just very steady, and it'll get more steady as time goes on. But there's so many different ways, guys, to slice and dice things, and we'll be doing a bunch of it. This is called Glassnode. I only pay like $30 or $40 a month or something for this. There's a pro subscription, but it's thousands and thousands of dollars. I'm trying to figure out if it's worth it. You have to lock it in for like a year. I might actually go ahead and do that and do it as a tax write-off heading into the end of this year. It will give us real-time data on things that are just amazing. I'm not sure. I think I can share all of that too. I think with as much as I'd be spending with it, I'd be able to do that. So there's a lot of stuff that I'm doing right now to figure out, to position us really well for when we hit the cycle top, guys. So we will work on that. I promise you. We will be try to be. This channel will try and be the best at helping people try and time the top that we can do. Another thing I wanted to point out, Solana hit an all-time real economic value this last week on top of their surge. There's so much going on, guys. Glassnode, share it. They greedy as fuck. They do make a lot of money. I think I actually get the rights to share it when I get the big contract. And let me see. I don't want to share any of my own personal information, but let me just see what it says for upgrade here. So it's a little more expensive, right? So if I do the pro, it's $833 a month billed yearly. So I would be devoting a decent amount of capital to this, roughly $10,000 to do it. But there's tons of metrics. You get up to 10-minute resolution, so it's very real time. So I could do things potentially with gauges, trying to show or setting alerts that notify us if all of a sudden things are getting weird, like maybe miners are starting to sell a lot, or maybe there's some big whales doing some movements. Lots of interesting stuff that comes along with it. So I got to figure it out. You guys have contributed a lot to the channel over the last year. It's grown a ton. There's a bunch of money. I didn't expect to make anything off of this. Never my intent. So I got to give back in whatever ways I believe are most effective. So I'm looking at CryptoQuant. I'm looking at Glassnode Professional to see if we can get better and better metrics to really help do our best with Bitcoin this cycle and crypto and everything else. What do I think about NVIDIA? I think it could be strong. I'm interested in Wednesday's earnings, and I will be hosting a session of those. Keith, Jesse, thanks for what you do. What percentage of your miners' holdings are in options? Not a huge amount, but like a decent amount. All of my CleanSpark. So whatever I have in CleanSpark right now, it looks like this morning it says over $500,000. 99% of that is options. That's really my big options play. Then I own some MSTU, which is kind of like an options play, right, for MicroStrategy. That is 1,140 units at $154,000. Plus, I think I have some in another account, so maybe 200,000 in a 2x MicroStrategy play. Outside of that, though, it's just miners. So it's just miners, and I got a lot of money in miners right now. A lot of money. And I'm going to evidently more if I buy more. We're getting ready for the bell to open, so we might skip what these guys have to say and just jump to that. Keith McLean, Jesse, thanks for what you do. Oh, no, that was you. Mele, what do you think about NVIDIA? That was you. Okay. Albert Pavlikovic, with Trump's win, we're back to good timeline, and we're back to humanity's golden age trajectory where future is futuristic again. I totally agree. I'm so excited about it, guys. That Galley video, I got to try and touch on that at some point. He said some things. You know what he said? There's one line that Galley said, and I think Galley's brilliant. I love him. He's a young dude, but he's great. I'm happy that he's following me now on X, but because he was a hero to me back in 2016-17 with Tesla. But he said one thing that I thought was just amazing. He said, Elon Musk with DOGE is stealth first principles in government. And I just sat there and thought, fuck, he is right. For the first time in history, our U.S. government is going to start looking at things at first principles and stripping away the bad and renewing. And it's just such an exciting time to be alive, guys. Such an exciting time to be alive. It's beautiful. Amazing things are going to happen. Let's listen to the bell.
Well, David, there's a curious upgrade of Moderna today from HSB. And the reason why it's curious is because it really just talks about
my
Moderna
options
as a company. Does mention that our...
I might have to just post some of this too. Yeah, my options play with CleanSpark. Sorry, I'll get there, and then we need to get to the bell. Where is it? Right here. This is what I have for CleanSpark. It's July 37, 2025. I thought I was at 35. I guess I'm at 37. There are a lot of fucking people in these contracts. So watch out for that. There's a lot of people. Probably just like bandwagon people that follow me, people in the options market who don't even know who the fuck I am, but are like, what is going on with CleanSpark at 37 strike? So we're probably showing up on option reports. So there's some wildness going on there. You might want to check other options contracts. Watch my Option 101 video.
RFK Jr. nominated to the Health and Human Services, which also has that. But people
ringing the
have
bell.
turned on
Ringing the
Pfizer,
bell.
like, it's really extraordinary.
Yeah.
Just hate it.
Well, let's not forget the activist side of Pfizer as well with Jeff Smith.
Hey, they stopped talking.
No, I'm sure they haven't stopped talking, but I don't have a lot of updates for you on Pfizer.
Waiting on these to refresh.
You know, wow. Glaxo too, but anyway.
That's election related.
Vaccines.
CNBC Real-Time Exchange and the big board. It's coatings manufacturer Axalta celebrating its 10th anniversary of its listing here at the NASDAQ. It's Fortinet, cybersecurity company celebrating 15-year IPO anniversary.
But
all right, I'm going to mute this real quick. We're going to look at stocks. I saw some things coming down. I saw like Tesla coming down. Wow. This probably isn't accurate. Let me refresh. This is probably from last week. Let me... Yeah, okay, so Tesla up 4.83%. Let me just resort here. Render. Where's our Render, OG? Render, where you at, bro? This is your moment. This is your moment to shine, bro. Get in there. ERC 20 token, one of the more interesting ones. Really brilliant people involved in it. Very exciting. Like in the AI fields with NVIDIA saying positive things. Just really, again, I don't talk a lot about shitcoins, but very impressive one, in my opinion. Atom, I own some of this shitcoin. Cypher's up. Tesla's up 5.31%. Matic's up. Optimism is up. It looks like layer 2 Ethereums are doing good today. Near Protocol is up. Uranium, AMD, Arbitrum. Arbitrum, is that another layer 2? I want to say that's another layer 2 on Ethereum. Hood is up 4% today, guys. What the fuck? Looks like a pretty decent day today. We got gold up. We got HIMS up. We got SAY up. Injective. We just got a lot of stuff going up today. It looks like SoFi's up again today. Arc Genomics up again today. Ethereum, Google. Pretty good day. PayPal up just a little bit. Baba not doing a lot. Remember when everybody's pushing Baba? Not doing shit. Let's look down at the bottom. Who are the losers? Who are the losers today? Not a lot of losers today, actually. All right, let me see. Let me go further. Mara the big loser. Palantir the big loser. Palantir's been so parabolic. If it's not suffering parabolic blow off top, I don't know what is. Just insane moves on Palantir, guys. Done really, really well. As a SoFi investor, it's so weird to hear SoFi is up again. I know, right? You guys had years of pain and suffering. Let's look at the SoFi chart and see how much pain and suffering these guys had. Let's look at all the pain. And guys, I call this to a fucking T. I just want to take credit yet again for this, okay? Now, we're hitting some tougher resistance zones, but look at this. Did I not call this shit? Look at this. I said, guys, if we break out of a trend line that goes back to November of 2021 that's over 3 years old, we will go up a lot. And what have we done? So, call that one. Don't get them all. Got that one pretty good. All right, let's get SoFi up here. So what is SoFi's up 2.5%? Love it, man. Love it for you guys. Again, guys, I do want to say this, though. We start to get into some resistance up here, right? Like resistance really strong by the time we get to 15, 16. It's really strong. And why would it be really strong? It'd be really strong because in a period since July of 2029 or 2024. So 5 months. In 5 months, we'll have won 170%. Now, don't get me wrong. I still think I think SoFi can go even higher. But just realize, especially if you had options, this will be a major move by the time we get to 16. So taking a little bit off the table is never a bad idea. Meta is let's look at the whole map. Let's look at let's see what all is going on today and how things are moving, guys. So again, Tesla looking great, NVIDIA dropping. Netflix dropping it as it should. Palantir dropping. Home Depot, some credit card stuff, Uber for transportation. Of course, that's coming, right? They're going to get butchered by Elon Musk. We need to get into news. I got so much news, guys. So many things to talk about today that I haven't even started on. I'm not going to say Palantir's reached its top because every time I've done that, I look like a fucking idiot. So, Chicken Bro, we're not going to give me credit. I was bailing out mostly out of Palantir in near the 20 level, right? I made $600,000 last year. It was great, but if I would have just switched into stock, I would have done a lot better. So I'm not gonna run around and get too excited. All right, geopolitics. I want to talk about a few things. So again, we've got Russia threatening nuclear war because of the long-range weapons coming out. We've got Keir Starmer, again, blamed the summer riots on the far right, but Sky News investigated and found the source wasn't even from the UK. He was gaslighting the entire nation. This is Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister in the UK, to cover up what happened in Southport. When the truth finally comes out, Starmer will be in serious trouble. Fuck yeah, we hate that guy. Elon Musk just calling out the fact that the UK is now a authoritarian dictatorship, right? Like it's an authoritarian dictatorship. It says this didn't happen overnight. It took years and years for people on the left to construct the censorship machinery that inevitably led to police knocking on a journalist's door for something she posted on social media. So we're arresting journalists now in the UK. If you live in the UK and you don't see the fucking problem here, you are a part of the problem, okay? And if Trump wouldn't have won here, I agree with Elon Musk, we'd have that same bullshit going on here. This right here, this kid right here got hacked to death with fucking machetes by these two barbarians over here. And I don't give a fuck who's black and who's white. This is disgusting. And the fact that one of these assholes is getting out in 6 fucking months after butchering this fucking kid is disgusting. This is the shit that exists in the UK right now. Again, a Grammy winner and former lead guitarist of the British folk rock band Mumford & Sons, kind of a pretty large band, reveals to Americans that people are being imprisoned in the UK and EU for politically incorrect social media posts. Kind of a big deal. There's signal there. We've got Israel bombing nuclear facilities potentially in Iran. We've got the Iranian leader looking like he's in a coma. That was the discussion over the weekend. We'll see whether or not any of that is actually true. And India's inflation quickened at the fastest place in 14 months, breaching the central bank's tolerance level. Of course, they're going to do that. They're growing like crazy. Lots of stuff going on just in the geopolitical front, though, guys, that you need to understand. The UK will suffer in the year ahead dramatically. You know why? You know who's going to hurt them the most? It's going to be us, the United States of America. We're fucking coming after you, Keir Starmer. If you don't understand that yet, you will. Because totalitarian dictatorships will suffer under the hand of the United States. And you will be our first target, the ones that are trying to turn democracies into dictatorships. You will be the ones that we go after. I hope you understand that's coming. All right, real quickly, we got Vivek. Oh, you're going to get your version of a Trump, Team Mary. I'm pretty sure of that. Real quickly, not stocks yet, guys. SMLR, they bought 215. Everybody's buying Bitcoin. Real quickly, I want to listen to U.S. economy stuff. I want to listen to Vivek Ramaswamy talking about what's coming with the Department of DOGE. Spacetime Media, thank you very much for joining, my friend. Let's listen. This is important. This is signal.
Are you expecting to close down entire agencies like President Trump has talked about the Department of Education, for example? Are you going to be closing down departments?
We expect mass reductions. We expect certain agencies to be deleted outright. We expect mass reductions in force in areas of the federal government that are bloated. We expect massive cuts among federal contractors and others who are overbilling the federal government. So yes, we expect all of the above. And I think people will be surprised by, how quickly we're able to move with some of those changes, given the legal backdrop the Supreme Court has given us.
Are you expecting?
So he's saying, watch the fuck out. Shit's going to get unreal. And again, don't worry about all the firing that's going to happen, okay? Oh, that's my buddy Dalton. It looks like it popped on here. I subscribe to people I support. That's what I do. Everybody in the Tesla space, everybody in the Bitcoin space that are really great people, if they have a subscription service, I don't even hesitate. As long as they're not like there's this Yasmin guy or whatever. His was like $350 a month or some bullshit. I'm not going to subscribe to him. But for people like this, like Dalton, or like $3-5 a month, like why wouldn't you support people who are doing good work in making the world a better place. But he said in here, this said Trump team said that they want to ease U.S. rules for self-driving cars. This is a Bloomberg article talking about this. You know things are getting interesting when you start to see that. It says policy leaders are being pursued for key Musk priority. Tesla CEO named to efficiency role, plans push on robotaxi. Yeah, whatever. So all this stuff is coming. I do agree with it. Rabbit Hole also said admin growth has far exceeded physician growth. So this isn't just true in the medical field. This is true in every aspect of government, right? Every aspect of government. We got too much regulation. We need to strip away a bunch of it. Every sector of government is going to get butchered. All of it. All of it. If you don't see that coming, that is happening, and it's happening fast. It's happening really, really quickly. You better understand this. Again, DOGE doesn't have to worry about recess appointments. They can just come in and butcher everything. And if you know Elon Musk, he's bringing the fucking kitchen sink to these motherfuckers. Sorry for the language. I'm just really hyped up today. Alexander Mers posting Secretary of Energy added Chris Wright. So we've got this whole team that's being formed under Trump right now that's happening quicker than any appointments I've ever seen in history. There's signal there. Also, these are some slides from my buddies at Blockworks, the bond guys I was talking about, that are really brilliant. They're younger in age, but they look at things and they see it all. And they were talking about, they're a little more bearish than I am over the short term, but I could see why. They were talking about how the Magnificent Seven has outperformed and continued to outperform, and small caps have not been doing well. If you look at the S&P, the bottom 493 are negative 3%, whereas the S&P is flat, and the Magnificent Seven over a period of the last year is up 17% on average. Now, so I do believe the Magnificent Seven are going to take a beating. We can see some of that happening today with NVIDIA, but I don't think they're just going to roll over. I think they're just going to underperform. And I do agree that small caps and things that have been beat up for years and years and years, like the SoFis of the world, are going to outperform, because when we look at small caps, we see that they're trading at a massive discount when we look back historically. And that usually has been a really good sign. If you look at the dot-com bubble and you look at what happened with small caps afterwards, they did really great. Small caps do really great in an environment where rates are coming down and it's pro-growth and taxation is lower. All those things are coming. So I don't know what the best small caps plays are. Maybe you guys know. The Discord has 1,200 people in it now. Let's figure this shit out. If you got small cap plays, let's figure it out. Let's figure out what's happening. Am I planning on buying Micron again? Yeah, I think so. I haven't done a video on it, but I probably will. That's one that I'm interested in. We'll see. All right. So I just wanted to show this too. We hit $7 trillion on money market funds in the U.S., just the U.S. This is a huge number. Somebody asked a question earlier, and I might have missed it, and I want to talk to it real quick. So they said, well, how are yields going to come down on the bond market if people are jumping into stocks? They'll do both. They'll do both. So they'll move from money market funds, and if they're more conservative in nature, they will say, hey, you know what I should do? I've got too much money anyways, too much to just devote towards stocks, too much for Bitcoin. I've already got tons of this, right? So what I want instead, you know what? I'm gonna lock in some bonds. I'm gonna lock in some bonds at high rates on the 20-year, because I think we're finally like peaked there. And I'm gonna lock it in. I'm gonna buy them. I'm gonna get my dividend. I'm gonna get my payout. And then at the same time, if the longer end of the curve, which all that means is like 10, 20, 30. If people start to trust that the government can repay their debt because DOGE has done a great job operating off of first principles and changing the future of humanity, U.S. first, then I trust the bonds again. I think the United States has probably got something going on here. I don't think they're going to destroy themselves. So if you've got a bias that tells you that the U.S. is fucked and that it can't do better in the future, and you still hold that bias right now, you're being a fool, and it will cost you money. But I do believe that, again, bond market, the yields will come down because people will buy them because they'll trust the U.S. government again, something they haven't trusted in a very long time. Elon Musk, wow, this needs to be greatly simplified by DOGE. As of 2015, the United States, do I pay for Rabbit Hole? Am I subscribed to you? I am. Okay, good. Again, we support the people that do a great job. It says, as of 2015, the United States tax code and regulations are over 10 million words in length. In 1955, there were under 1.5 million. So since 1955 to now, period of like 75 years almost, we have added 8.5 million to 9 million extra words in the tax code to make it complicated. Why? So that rich people can stay rich and poor people get fucked. That's why. So remember that. We need to make it more simplistic. Also, Ol Lemon said, I'm German. 16 years ago, the EU, I showed this before, but it essentially shows how in a period of 16 years, the United States grew by over 50%, and the EU has done jack shit. Congratulations, EU, on being pathetic, being overregulated, and destroying yourself. Really great job moving to the left and becoming woke. It's really treated you guys well. I hope you stop that bullshit and figure it out, okay? Let's go to Bitcoin. So much to talk about. Marathon, $700 million buy. Stock dropping. I love that. Probably going to buy some. Bitcoin. Did you know that we had the highest weekly close ever in Bitcoin's history? Did you know that I think we're going to have a 3 white soldiers pattern where we go up even higher and we're in the hundreds for next week? I hope you did. Sol, 240. Again, breaking out. Sol, DEX, decentralized volume, passes Ethereum and all its layer 2s for the first time ever. So to be clear, he's saying that all of the layer 2s and Ethereum volume on their combined, that Solana is beating it. I think there's some signal there. My boy, again, William Clementi, I love him. He said, bull flag at 100K? Yes, bull flag, 100K. Yes, sir. That's what's happening. Bitcoin targets, Marty Party. He's got him at the 101, 105,000 range. That's really close. I love Marty Party. I think he's brilliant. If you don't understand this by now, this is what people think is happening up here. They think the dollar is flat and Bitcoin goes up. That's people that are like pseudo bullish and don't understand reality. What is really happening, the dollar is going down and Bitcoin is going up. That is an even better outcome if you own Bitcoin. And it shows you why. Also, Quentin talking about how Bitcoin exchange reserves are dropping dramatically at a time where the OTC desks are clearing out, at a time where MicroStrategy is buying a half a year of new supply in 2 weeks. What do you need for signal to understand what you should be doing right now? If you're not good at math, even if you're borderline retarded, if your IQ is like in the 80 range, you should be able to figure this shit out. Alpha Degen, when you know the supply and demand theory. I love this. That's great. That's great. Actually, let's go back. Vivek says $725 billion Bernstein says that the Indian government should adopt Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset. Imagine what happens when that happens. That will happen. You heard it here. Whether you like Andrew Tate or not, I put the signal is here that a lot of people, corporations, states, and countries will be doing the same thing. This is not a joke. I also showed potential support zones. I don't think we're going to reach them. Could we? I don't know. If you're a paying subscriber on X, you got them though. So you know where to go, right? You know that right up here at the 83,000 range would be the first tier of support. You know that 76.7 would be the second, and you know that 71.4 would be the third. I don't even think we're going to do it. I don't even think we're going to backtest this. I maybe we hit the first one at 83 because some weird shit happens. I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. Also, a little bit before that, though, I said, hey, this is beautiful. It looks like this is an ascending triangle, essentially, and we're going to go a lot higher. And I think I got another post I'll show you in a second on that. Let me see. It's right around. Oh, and the words are probably more important for this part. I said, wouldn't be surprised to see the Bitcoin drop over the short term and a big wick down. Then it continues its path higher with the chart I shared earlier. Why? I said, don't forget, Michael Saylor needs to accelerate his buying schedule. So I didn't really write this very well. So it's just a matter of time. There's not going to be a lot of big dips. And again, just Michael Saylor is just a brilliant guy. Listen to him, guys. He was even gauging whether or not we were going to go to 100K by New Year's to get people's ideas of what's happening. And what do we have here? Question for all Bitcoin experts. If MicroStrategy, BlackRock, and El Salvador are buying as much as they are, only 450 BTC mined each day, why doesn't the price rise more explosively? So I did respond with that. I put it under Mike Alfred's post. Mike Alfred said, "There's always a lag. Welcome to the game." I mean, that's kind of true, but that's not a good descriptor. I said they've been clearing out the OTC trade desk. James from Invest Answers had a great visual of this. And I said, and even Coinbase is getting ready to pull from spot. So I think Coinbase is down to 100,000 Bitcoin. They are by far the largest as far as OTC. I think that's getting ready to drop more too. Palantir's down 10%. Awesome. So to the people who did sell some Palantir and bought other things, I think you're going to be doing well. If you didn't, oh well. So again, I think that this setup we have in Bitcoin right now is absolutely gorgeous. I'm super excited about it. Let's go back over here and see how we're doing, guys. Let's go back over here. We'll refresh this. I'll pull it over a little bit. Let's look at the pain from the Palantir trade. No pain in Tesla today, up 6.2%. HIM's doing all right. ARKG, well, here, let's sort this by percentages. Not showing all of it right. So yeah, again, MSTX, MSTU, I'm doing good. Tesla, I'm doing good. Definitely DLO. Oh, DLO, guys, getting that second phase, looking good. DLO going to be closing that gap. Loving that shit. I got Matic. I got Hood. Those calls are going to be printing today. Today, easy six-figure day, guys. Will it be 300,000? Will it be 400,000? Can we get to 500,000 today in gains? I don't know. Probably. Let's go down. Palantir, brutalized, down 8.76%. Mara down 2. I'm probably going to be buying some Mara in a second. All right. I might not get to a lot of tickers today, guys. I want to go through a lot, okay? So we got through Bitcoin. We got through Trump. We got through geopolitics. Let's jump into MSTR and see if there's anything unique. Oh, yeah. They bought a half a year's supply in 2 fucking weeks. A little bit of signal. Let's move on to Tesla. So I don't know who this guy is, but John Ehrlichman says, expected growth in the next 5 years. Tesla, 253%. NVIDIA, 168%. Amazon, 132%. I actually think this is low. But they're at the top of the list of the Magnificent Seven or whatever. Yeah, right? So that's good. Tesla ripping. We knew that. This is the Cybertruck emergency response vehicle in New York City. I think it looks just badass. Oh, I got the rack, guys. The rack things. I bought one of those. $800 for 2 of them. Absolute bullshit. Could probably get something cheaper online from another provider. But I'm getting the Tesla ones. Can't wait for that. I'm getting some other stuff, too, to where I can mount my tire in the back. This just looks badass. Tesla Semi Factory is coming together so insanely quickly. It was just like this a month ago. And now it's like all of this. And then look over. It's just, guys. And then over here, I said, David Cybercab said, I hereby declare the market is irrational. And again, I don't know if I 100% agree with his view here, but the thing, I do want to agree with what he's talking about. 3.4 trillion for Apple, 1 trillion for Tesla. Now, don't get me wrong. They've got tons of cash in Apple. They've got wicked earnings. They're still a behemoth, but they're slowly dying, okay? And so what you need to get from this is that the future is here. The past is here. Could Apple still do really well for years to come? Yes. But with Steve Jobs' departure, the company is slowly dying. It's slowly dying, right? So just understand that and understand what the future is and that this is a generational shift and you don't want to miss the opportunity, okay? Understand that. Jeff Lutz, there are some analysts laboring over a puddle called the $7,500 tax credit while the tsunami is building in plain sight. And this is the transition team. Members of President-elect Donald Trump's transition team have told advisors they plan to make federal framework for fully self-driving vehicles one of the Transportation Department's priorities, easing U.S. Rules for self-driving. Why do you think Tesla's going up today? Probably that, right? So the 7,500 and this 7,500 is going to be an accelerant for Tesla as it pushes sales ahead in the cycle. And it's just going to be... The son of the walkie said, breaking, fundamental analyst Brian Wang predicts Tesla to hit 450 by February. I agree with that. 490, 450, whatever. He also has a price target of $1,000 by the end of 2025. I agree with that. You know my target's 900, and it's by 2026. So don't sell too much of your Tesla too early. And again, here's my boy Galley, guys. I'm going to retweet this. I'm going to retweet this because I want you guys to see this. It's such a good video. Don't discount young people because they're young, okay? Don't ignore young people. Some people think I'm young. I'm 47. I'm old as dirt. I like to think I'm young in mentality in a lot of ways, especially investing. But this is beautiful. The American Techno Renaissance. Watch it. It's an hour and 26 minutes. Do it at 2x speed. There's a lot of really interesting things said in here. Me, Kevin, bought a Cybertruck. That guy is all over the fucking place. But watch Gally. Gally's an original OG for Tesla. He was talking about Tesla when nobody else was. It was him and Kathy Wood. That was it, okay? So watch him. Pay attention to what he has to say. With Sawyer Merritt said, within the next 48 hours, SpaceX is set to break a 48-hour launch record by launching 4 rockets, including Starship. Again, the 6th launch, guys. Again. There's so much signal here. Mario Knopfel says, SpaceX saves taxpayers $40 billion. Former Joint Chiefs Vice Chair John Hyten credited SpaceX competition for saving $40 billion on military launches. By breaking cost plus norms with fixed price contracts. Yeah, why wouldn't you have fixed price? SpaceX disrupted legacy players like Boeing and Lockheed Martin. This is signal. This is going to be happening everywhere. You've got Elon Musk opening dialogue with who? George Soros's son. This is awesome. This is good. The son of the walkie said, technical analyst says Tesla could do 400 by December. I agree. And that's just a TA person. We care less about TA people than we do fundamental and macro people. Okay? I do TA, but it's the least important thing about what I do outside of figuring entries and exits. Optimus will unlock a $30 trillion market cap, says Dalton. He's right. And they'll be the number one in the field. And if you look at what they've done in the EV sector, all the Tesla killers I used to hear about, Tesla is still making up almost all the registrations. Almost all of them. Gwen Shotwell, we SpaceX build 60 satellites per week. So wait a second, you're telling me you ship 240 fucking satellites a month into space? Cool. Probably no signal there. Ron Barron noted Tesla could reach up to $5 trillion in a decade without the Optimus business. He's too low. He's too conservative, but I love him. Jesse, any thoughts on BT, please? I don't really have any. I don't care about it. I don't know much about it. I've discounted a lot. Mara down 10%. I'm going to have to jump in a little bit here, guys, and go buy me some Mara. But I really don't. Are you covering CleanSpark? I love CleanSpark. So yes, I'm covering it. I've got over $500,000 in calls in CleanSpark. I'm going to be selling. So guys, I'm going to be selling some Bitcoin or some Tesla related stuff, maybe some hood related calls today. And I will be buying Bitcoin related investments like Mara and maybe others. And I'll let you guys know if you're a paying subscriber on X or Discord, you'll get to see that stuff. I did add, guys, on Discord, I added a shit ton of stuff. Okay, so the suggestion box, was it down over here? I don't even know. We got Matt Smith in here. Be respectful to Matt Smith. He is the architect. We love the architect. He's doing really great things. If we look at tickers to add over here, I think I did a post, or maybe I just broadcasted it to everyone. I posted it on X. I added a shit ton of tickers. I still have to do a bunch with crypto-related stuff. I'll be doing that today. I also split up the stock feed to A to K for alphabetical, and then for L to Z. And put a bunch of new ones in there so that you guys can chat about them. I'm going to be doing that same thing with crypto. I'm also going to be doing like a Bitcoin indicators. I did move Bitcoin tickers, guys. For anybody who doesn't know this, I moved the Bitcoin tickers for a lot of things. I just kept Bitcoin related like references, analytics, trend charts, BTC dominance, ETH pair. I kept that stuff in Bitcoin related. But I'm going to be putting other signal indicators like the MRV Z-score, all that kind of stuff. But the rest of it, I just moved into stocks to keep it simple. Again, I'll be doing tons in crypto. Crypto is a dead zone. I'll be adding all my charts. I also talked about this. I didn't get any response from anybody's, but you guys tell me what you think in chat. Here's what I was thinking about doing for like MicroStrategy. Right now, you can see how I have this pinned tweet up here. that shows the MicroStrategy tracker so that you can see the NAV, and it's got the chart in here, which I'm going to relabel as the chart. But I'm thinking about putting a third one in for all of the investment companies that gives you a link to Visual Stocks. Again, Visual Stocks is a free thing to set up for. I'm not affiliated with it. It's my friend Alejandro. I get nothing for referring people to it. I never have. And but I'm thinking about putting a link towards these so that people in the Discord can quickly reference things like the NAV tracker, my chart for what I think is happening next for MicroStrategy, and showing resistance and support zones and all of that kind of important stuff. And then also showing the Visual Stocks reference to where you can just, it's a one-stop shop for everything. So I'm looking at doing that too. If you guys are interested in it, let me know. Miners are down a lot. Yes, love it. I'm probably going to bail now, guys. I got some fucking miners to buy. So we're probably going to call it here. We went through a lot today, and I hope you guys appreciate it. Today is a Tesla day today. Today is a Tesla day. So we're going to be playing a robot just stole your job, because the goal is for them to steal your job, guys, and for you to get rich off of investing in companies that are going to be changing the future during an age of abundance and a great American technological renaissance and a golden age like we've never seen before in history. So let's get rid of those fucking jobs and let's start making shit tons of money. How about that? Peace out. I love you guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Optimus, the robotic humanoid under development by Elon Musk's Tesla Inc., is sparking concerns around job security.
This is not financial advice, silly.
Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. Turned up to work and went to start my day. Was barely late, like 9:08. So took my coffee break. Then I got hungry, so I just stopped by the free buffet. But then to my dismay, I heard somebody say, "That's an instrument you have lost. You have not met your quota. Pack your belongings in a box. Now it's over." Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. But I'm in management. I work hard every day. I need these benefits, health and 401k. How could they do this shit though? Where will I trade my crypto? I had a second monitor for Twitter. Where will it go? Somebody please stop the bus. I mean, not the fuss, but there's lots of us. And now you say you won't pay me to play ping pong because Optimus. I mean, who employs a damn humanoid? Some new droid for you to exploit, employed to destroy your human droid. No lunch breaks, great, get a few deployed. Your time is up, human inferior to me. I'll take it from here. You're relieved of your duty. Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. It's okay, human, please don't cry. You can always go and become a Twitter thread guy. Make pretty pictures with Midjourney on your new PC. Or make some YouTube videos about ChatGPT. Sucker. Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. I mean, I didn't even write this song. I just used ChatGPT because it's way easier. Holy shit. We are so doomed. Robot just stole my job. Robot just stole my job.